Good evening, and welcome along to another big show here on NVTV. And what a big show it is this evening. We'll have live music from singer-songwriter Conal Montgomery. He'll also be telling us about his brand new album, The Cornerstone. We'll be talking cars with a model, a TV presenter and racing driver, Jodie. She's going to be here. We'll be joined by Channel 5's Yorkshire vet, Julian Norton, and spiritual medium Brian Lynch will also be with us in the studio, plus the soda pops will be popping up on the show as well. But starting things off, I've been joined by Brian Moore, who's telling us about some of the big events coming to Portrush over the next few months. Here's what happened when I caught up with Brian. So, starting off the show this week, we're heading up to the northwest to find out what's happening around the Portrush and Port Stewart area. To help us do it, Mr. Portrush himself, Brian Moore, joins us on the line. Brian, how are you, sir?
It's nice to see you, Robin.
Good to see you as well. Yeah, because before COVID, for the past couple of years before all that happened, we had you in the studio telling us what was happening up in the northwest, and I'm hoping there's lots of things coming up over the summer. I know at the minute you're in the middle of the Northwest 200, aren't you?
Yeah, well, unfortunately COVID put paid to a couple of events. The Causeway Coast Truck Fest isn't happening this year, nor is Pirates of Portrush. Both wonderful events, absolutely wonderful events, but hopefully they'll be back next year. But yes, what is happening? Yes, we're in the middle of the Northwest 200, of course. Tonight we've got the very excellent Cellar Door playing. We have a practice and then we have 2 or 3 races tonight as well. But so after that finishes, we all pile into the marquee, the hospitality marquee. Yours truly will be on spinning a few tunes, and then Cellar Door. It's a great night. And then tomorrow night we have an earlier show, and we have world champion Jonathan Ray coming along for a chat show. And then on Saturday we have the official Northwest 200 after party. That's with the mighty Brian Giffen and the Untouchables. A Northwest 200 favourite, actually. They're back again. Can't get rid of them.
So another hugely successful year for the Northwest 200. What else will be coming up? Because it must be nearly time for the big air show as well.
Air show is going to be on the 10th and 11th of September. And I must send the council a copy of this video, actually, because in the past few years I've been on the mic, doing the dead air parts, because they have commentators who commentate on the planes. But of course they come in for 7 or 8 minutes at a time. So I do the rest of the bits whenever there's nobody there, and talk about the sponsors and interview a few people, and would even interview Robin Elliott if he would get his butt out of Belfast and come up and see it. But yes, Red Arrows will be there. The weekend before that, Robin, we've got the raft race back.
Oh yes, I'm coming up for that, aren't I?
Weekend is back. That's another. You threatened to come up and stay over at that there to see that, because that's great crack, it really is. Last year we had Del Boy, we had an Only Fools and Horses raft, we had estate agents, we had nuns. Oh, it's crazy, some of the rafts that enter that there. It's great fun, but it's not just the raft race, it's a whole weekend of stuff, because you have everything there from Zumba to willy wanging. There's one for you now.
Definitely, I'm definitely coming up now.
I've said it quite a few times over a microphone. I'm used to it, but you can go very, very wrong with that one. So willy wanging, that takes place on the Sunday morning. But we have all sorts of different events, including the parachutists come in just before the raft race kicks off. So that's raft race weekend, and that's the 3rd and 4th of September. The raft race itself is on the Saturday, but there are events Saturday and Sunday. So get your accommodation booked. You and Pauline come up. Robin gives me somebody to give some stick to over the microphone.
Exactly. I shall be there. Looking forward to it. Now, for families who are coming up to Portrush, the good news is back. The big famous amusement park's back open again, isn't it?
Curry's is there, Curry's Fun Park, and I've been away every weekend, etc., so I've not had the chance to get over the door yet, but I wish them nothing but the very best. I also wish the girls who had Barry's, of course, nothing but the best. They've gone on to other things now, and we wish them well. It must have been quite a lot of pressure there for a while whenever they had to take the decision to dispose of the business, but it's gone now, and Curry's Fun Park are on for aiming for bigger and better things. But of course, a lot of the old amusements are still there, such as the Ghost Train and the Dipper and all the rest of it. So it's going to be there for quite a few years, and everything I'm hearing about it is great. So the people of the area are very pleased about that.
Now, obviously, I've spent a lot of time up in Portrush and Portstewart, Port Ballantrae over the past year, and one thing that I've noticed is how good the restaurants are. There's really, really good food up there, isn't there?
I think the aim is to become the Conceal of the North. Bushmills is really opening up. You've got several really good restaurants in Bushmills, all sorts of different restaurants in the area, and almost every week you hear of a new one opening, which is great. It's great.
Brilliant. All right. Well, Brian, lots happening, as always, up in the North Coast. Well, the best of luck with the rest of the Northwest 200, and thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much. We'll talk soon, Robin.
Right, time now to get one of my favourite guests on the big show. This lady is always welcome, always good to talk about cars with her as well. So here's what happened when I met model, TV presenter and racing car driver Jodie Kidd. Okay, let's go for it. Right, we're talking cars today and the need for speed, because UK drivers are apparently missing out on £7 billion while selling their cars, as 32% admit lack of patience. Let's find out more about this survey, because model, racing driver and TV presenter Jodie Kidd joins us. Jodie, how are you?
Hi, I'm really, really good. How are you?
Very well. Good to see you again. It was about this time last year you were on the show, wasn't it?
Yes, absolutely. I was thinking it was in the middle of a lockdown. So yes, lovely. We've got beautiful weather today. So there's a lot of pluses going on.
So we're talking about selling your car today, and some new research. So what have we learned then?
Well, we've learned that actually, and if you're not in the motoring industry, it's quite a daunting thing to do, to sell your car if you're not kind of savvy, or you just want to get rid of it quickly. And you can go down to a local garage and they can say, oh, it costs a couple of grand, and you just go, okay. It's unless you go to all these different dealers and you find out online or whatever, it's a very time consuming process. And also, as I said, it's quite daunting, especially if you're not in the industry. So I think a lot of people are selling their cars, really quickly, or they just have trust in someone that might not be giving you the full amount of that car. And so this amazing survey, I was quite shocked. It came out saying that people could be losing just under about £1,000 on a car, on a sale. So I've teamed up with motorway.co.uk, and they are basically this brilliant online platform. They also have an app that it's a very quick and very easy process that allows you to sell your car, but it is in the most profitable way. And by me saying that is because you're not selling to one person, or you're selling to an online company. They've got over 5,000 different verified dealers that will bid for your car. So you're gonna 100% know that you're going to get the best price out of that car. And it's all such an easy, simple process. You can do it all from home. They even come up and pick your car up. And it's just a relief that things are made so simple, and that that you're going to get the best price.
All right, brilliant. So what about you these days? Are you still racing driving then?
I am. So I'm now a YouTube influencer. And so I've got a car YouTube channel called Kid in the Sweet Shop that's going really, really well. We only started it just under a year ago, so it's fantastic. I'm off next week to talk with Nigel Mansell, who's selling his F1 cars, and he's selling his Ferrari, and I'm going and interviewing them and doing the whole history behind the cars. So it's kind of, I'm not reviewing it, I'm meeting people behind iconic cars, designers, people that have amazing collections. So it's something different, something unique, and it's a lot of fun, keeping me out of trouble.
Well, it must be great to meet somebody like Nigel Mansell, who must be one of your heroes.
One of my heroes, I mean, honestly, and the Ferrari that we're talking about is the particular. There's a very famous, one of the most famous F1 images. Anyone that's in or knows about F1, and that's where he picked up Ayrton Senna, and Ayrton Senna sat in the car as he drove around. Anyway, so we're going to go and talk about that car. So yes, I'm really excited about that.
Well, I was thinking about you recently because I was with my good friend Shane Lynch, and he was test driving, I think it was called an Arash. It's a car that's worth £1.2 million. And I was in that car, and well, what a car it is.
I know. Well, number one, he's such a good driver. I mean, he really is. And did you have a lovely time?
Great time, yeah. But 1.2 million, you're sitting in that car and you're going, I can't believe a car would be worth this.
I know. I did one Kid in a Sweet Shop episode where I was driving. There were two cars, me and my friend, and between the two of them, they were worth £90 million.
Wow.
I mean, it was a Ferrari 250 GTO and a Ferrari Competizione, and it was like, it was ridiculous. It was totally ridiculous. And then I'm just driving going, don't crash, don't crash, don't crash. So yeah, there are some crazy cars with crazy prices out there, but you know, that's how popular the industry is. And you know, but what a joy when you get to sit in £1 million car. I bet you were smiling for days.
I was, but the only thing about them is they're difficult to get in and out of because you're so low down. I find it difficult these days to maneuver myself in them.
Yeah, I know, even I do. I mean, so you're literally sitting on the floor, but you have to kind of like get in. You got the steering wheel, you got this. Yes, it's never a pretty sight, I would say.
So have you ever had any really scary moments on the racetrack?
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's the point, is if you want to be competitive, you have to be on the edge, and pushing that envelope of the car and the track is, you know, you're either that split second quicker than everyone else, or you're that split second into a tire wall. So yes, it's really pushing everything to the limit and to the edge. And I've had quite a few gone over that limit, and had quite a few scary kind of crashes, but you know, on a racetrack they're very, very good. You have a lot of runoff, have harnesses, the cars are really safe nowadays. You've got lots of marshals. It's a much safer kind of environment, thank goodness, touch wood, but it's a lot of fun.
Brilliant. Now, I've always wondered, what was the very first car that you ever owned?
I had a little Volkswagen Polo. And then I tell you, the first proper one I did, this is rather embarrassing. This is where I'm going to probably lose a load of subscribers on Kid in a Sweet Shop. But it was years ago, and Rover was sponsoring London Fashion Week. And so they asked a couple of the girls to have a car for 6 months, and I was one of them. So I had a Rover 75, which I'd have to say was not doing my street cred a lot.
And what are you driving at the moment then?
I've got an Audi RS6 that, of course, I've got all completely ridiculously souped up, and it's hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of horsepower. So yes, I've got that, but I've got a hybrid coming because, you know, that's the way forward, and that's where we need to be heading in. And the direction we need to be heading in. So I've got a hybrid coming next.
And is it worth looking at electric cars these days as well?
I mean, I was talking about this earlier. The thing is, when you're out in the sticks, it's a bit complicated. And I've had many friends actually make phone calls saying, "Can you come and get me because, you know, the battery's died and I've got to the certain charging point and, you know, the charge is not working." So the infrastructure is definitely not quite there yet. But that's why I'm going to go into a hybrid area before fully electric, because you know, we are out in the country, and if I need to get somewhere or I need to do, you know, emergency run something, and you haven't got enough battery life, you know, it can get quite serious. So I'm going to go hybrid, but they're really sorting it out. So fully electric, I should think in the next 5 years is going to be a whole different ball game, and the manufacturers are producing some of the most delicious, amazing, gorgeous electric cars that are really exciting to drive because they're so quick. So I think it's definitely getting there.
I was in one of the hybrid cars recently and I couldn't believe how quiet it was. You didn't even know you were in a car, yeah.
I know. And if you're in town, you really have to kind of like look left, right quite a lot because suddenly they can be there and you're like, ah! So it's weird. It certainly is a weird thing when you're shooting along and all you hear is kind of like the road noise or just the kind of aerodynamic noise and nothing else. It's a kind of a strange sensation.
Okay, let's come back to selling your car once again. What top tips can you give us then for selling your car?
Well, I mean, you know, there are certain little things that people can do, like changing your mats, you know, making sure it's got a good valet, you know, making sure it's clean and, you know, getting the best angles. So when you go onto Motorway's website and you get to the car picture bit, you know, make sure it's in good light. You know, there's a number of very simple kind of logical things that really do make a difference. It's like if you're selling your house, you know, some people put coffee on to do the aromas of coffee or flowers or, you know, so it's just, you've got to think the same about not necessarily put coffee beans in your car, but you know, just do little bits actually make a real big difference.
And clear out the coffee cups and the McDonald's packets and things like that.
Make sure it's clean.
Well, Jodie, as always, it's been great talking to you. Thank you so much for joining us on the show.
And I hope to speak to you really soon. Take care.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
All right. Bye.
My next guests are a performing husband and wife team. They do a fabulous tribute to the music of the 1950s and 1960s in their Soda Pop show, and I'm pleased to say that Michelle Baird and Matt Forsyth join us in the studio. Guys, welcome.
Thank you for having us.
Hi. You were here last week, Michelle, and you're back again this week.
I know, you're too good to me. Thank you so much.
So if they were tuned in last week, they would have seen you with the leading ladies.
Yes.
But that's not all you do. You do the Soda Pops thing. Tell us about that.
That's right. Well, the Soda Popz is my band, and I was raised with music of the 50s and 60s, played in the house all the time, mum and dad jiving. I just loved it because it just was so happy, and no one else was doing a band playing music of that era, so I decided to start one myself.
Yeah.
So it's a 7-piece band, and Matt and I are the 2 vocalists then with 5 musicians, and it's been going really well.
Brilliant. And Matt, when you think of the music of the 50s and 60s, there's just so many great songs out there, isn't there?
Yeah, it's amazing. Some of you know, we play a lot of Johnny Cash, Elvis, you know, it's just amazing music, and we do have quite a strong following. People will come dressed up, and it's a chance for people to express themselves on the dance floor and what they're wearing.
Brilliant. So tell me about the relationship between you and Michelle, because you're both performers, you're both married, and you met in a show as well, didn't you?
We did, yeah. We met in 2003 on the Opera House stage in an amateur production of Guys and Dolls. We actually stayed friends after that for about 9 years before we got together. Yeah, I went to London, trained as an actor, done my thing there, and then we got together in 2012 or 13.
And we are coming up to our 4th wedding anniversary.
Wow, congratulations.
Thank you.
So living together, performing together, is it difficult?
Do you know, it's actually not. It's pretty easy because we can rehearse quite easily in the house together, and we would be booked a lot as a vocal duo with backing tracks as, you know, COVID, obviously budgets had been limited. So it is fairly easy, and we do have the natural banter on stage, as you would imagine.
Yeah.
So.
And it seems like you have a lot of fun at home as well, because Matt, I've been stalking your social media pages, and well, sometimes you like to become one another, don't you? Let's have a look at this clip.
Matt, what do you think? Look at that. Just got a post today. You deliver it. Something to brighten me up, you know. We should be trying to cut back. Couldn't resist. This here, £459 down to £3.54. It doesn't matter how much it was. You still spent £3 whatever, didn't you? In the sale. Lovely, isn't it? You don't like it? Do you like it? Lovely. Does it show my handles? The handles are in the back? What's it like there? Is it tight? It's a wee bit tight round the back. No,
So there we go. Yep, it looks like it's great fun in your house. Is Michelle really like that? Is she?
Honest to goodness, there was one occasion, one of the videos I did was about her putting pictures up constantly. And about a week or two after the video, I heard this tap, 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 and I thought, oh, this is a great opportunity. So I got the video camera out just to put it around the side of the door, and out of her mouth, without me prompting, was, God, I love hanging pictures.
But you were actually using a hammer to put the pictures
Yes.
up. Yes.
And then I hung them up all wrong and ripped
Plaster
half the
comes off the
plaster out of the wall, trying to remove.
Because I am actually going to show another clip now, because my wife as well actually does like to hang pictures as well in the house. Unfortunately, she doesn't own a hammer, and this is what happened.
Stop filming me! I'm determined. Off to do it.
So there's Pauline at home trying a variety of implements to hang a picture, but thank God, Michelle, you know to use a hammer
Just a hammer, yes.
to do that. Fabulous. Okay, Matt, let's talk about you, because last time I saw you, you were touring all over the place in A Night in November.
Yeah.
Which was such a fabulous show. It's a fabulous show for any actor to do, but you're absolutely brilliant. And it went across the world. It went viral, didn't it?
We performed it live all over Ireland, London, Cornwall. And before we went to Cornwall, and when lockdown happened, we were supposed to go to Broadway with it, and then we couldn't, obviously. So we beamed it directly to America, and for those the people who would have seen it there in America were able to tune in and watch it. Such a fantastic show. It's not dead in the water yet, so we're hoping that there's still a bit more life in there, hopefully, for it.
Yeah, I remember the show the first time around when Dan Gordon did it, and so many people have done it since. So was there a lot of pressure on you when you got the part?
Yes, because there's so much history with the part, and I think because I understood that history, and the play meant a lot to me anyway, and I felt that I had gone on a similar journey myself as Kenneth McAllister did. So yes, and to do it justice, yes, because it is one of those plays where people are going to come out and they're going to say, oh, remember Dan did it like this, and Patrick Keelty did it like this, and you're always going to be compared. But I done my own take, and I enjoyed it, yeah.
Brilliant. So what else have you been up to? Because I know there's some TV stuff happening, isn't there?
Yeah, I'm in the middle of Blue Lights, new BBC police drama, crime drama, which is fantastic. It's a fantastic script by Declan Lawn and David Patterson. So yeah, I'm finishing that in May. And then I've got hopefully 2 theatre gigs coming up in November, December. Fingers crossed everything gets signed off on them.
Brilliant. All right, we look forward to that. Michelle, what about any gigs for Soda Popz coming up that we should know about?
We have so many this year. We're really delighted, and quite a lot with the full band as well. You know, it's fine us singing away with the backing tracks, but there's nothing like a full band, especially when it's music from that era. And with the Jubilee weekend as well, we have our own show in the Black Box on Thursday, the 26th of May. This was meant to be at Christmas. We'd sold it out quite far in advance, and then Matt and myself and our guitarist all got COVID at the same time, and unfortunately had to pull it. So this is the rescheduled Christmas show, which is on a Thursday night this time, but we're really looking forward to that, and ticket sales are going well, but there are still tickets left at the Black Box. And then for the Jubilee, we've got quite a lot of things. We're doing a lovely private event at Ballygally Castle. We were booked for Robot. We've loads.
Brilliant. Well, do you know what? Thank you so much for coming in. It's always good to see you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Now, my next guest is a spiritualist medium who's got a show coming up in the Balmoral Hotel on the 26th of May. We'll find out all about that and what else he gets up to. Brian Lynch is with us in the studio. Brian, how are you?
How are you, Robin?
Very well.
Pleasure to be here.
Well, thank you for joining us. So first of all, tell us, to do something like this, how do you discover you have the gift?
Okay, well, first of all, I wouldn't call it a gift.
Okay.
I would call it an ability. And it's an ability that you're born with.
Okay.
Because if you don't have the ability, it's not going to develop.
Exactly, and it's something that can be developed, because you actually went away to do training, didn't you?
It has to be developed because you're going into hotel rooms, you're in front of audiences, and if you didn't have the training for that, it would not be good.
So there is actually training out there, which I never knew about.
Yes, well, you see, you have to take courses on it. And you see, the courses on it at our college, the Arthur Findlay College at Stansted in London there, are quite intense courses. So when you would go away and do a course, it would take about a week or so, you see. And of course, what you're going to do is you're going to explore the mechanics of mediumship, your ability, how you can bring that ability out, how that ability can be brought out with responsibility. It's very, very important that it's brought with responsibility. And your delivery is very important too. Yes.
Now, there'll be people watching this, and I'm sure you've had this in the past, who don't believe any of it, who think it's all absolute nonsense. What would you say to them?
Well, everybody's entitled to their belief. Everybody has their own belief system. I can only take it from my point of reference to the proof that I have received and the proof that I give to others.
So what age were you then when you discovered you could do this?
To be quite honest with you, I'm 62 now, and I didn't really develop this until I was 34.
Right.
You see, and I just the reason that happened was I came from a hairdressing background. I kept hearing about the Belfast Spiritual Church through customers, and I decided to go there one Sunday night, and it was a life-changing experience.
Yeah.
Yes, and there was a medium that was on, a Scottish lady from Glasgow, I think. And she gave me a very detailed reading about my grandparents and got so much detail on them, and then went on to tell me that I carried the ability myself if I was prepared to take it and train it.
Wow, which you did, and then your work has taken you all over the world. You spent a lot of time in Germany, didn't you?
A lot of time in Germany, and people always ask me, how do I work in Germany? Do I speak German? And I say, no, it's all done with translators, because to be quite honest with you, when you're working with German people, your German has to be at a very high level.
Yeah.
It's called High German.
Right, yes, yeah.
And that would be our equivalent to Oxford English. And to get it to that level actually be quite high. But the German people are very, very interested in mediumship. It's very much within their psyche. They don't have the amount of churches or centres that we would have in the UK, but extremely interested in it.
Okay. Brian, thank you so much for doing that. And of course, if people want to come along and see you, you're in the Balmoral Hotel, 26th of May.
Balmoral Hotel, yes. I've been working in the Balmoral Hotel for the last 10 years. It's not a new thing to me. And people in Belfast are very interested in mediumship.
Brilliant. Well, thank you so much for coming on the show today.
Thank you.
Thank you. Right, let's have some live music in the NVTV studios. And Conal Montgomery has a brand new album coming out called The Cornerstone. It's released on the 20th of May. And here is Conal with the title track from the new album.
sits on the cornerstone. His hair turning yellow, all the pigment's gone. He takes the last draw of that old wood vine. Thank God it's nearly opening time. Old man Joker, he sits on the same old stone. The Reverend passed by and goes walking on and said, "You're drunk again, Joker, at this time." "Me too," says Joker, "and it's opening time." The central bar stone where legends sit, shone by axes and every one of it. The lost souls thrown, they're all drunk for their sins. And even that old stone, it's halfway in. There's George the Brat, on the stone he sat. An old black suit, but never a hat. Real cream hair, slicked back fine. Anyhow, it's my friend, is it opening time? There's Joe Darian, he's sitting on the stone. Threw his telly out the window 'cause there's nothing on. A little bit posh and a well-versed man. Is it opening time? My good man. The central bar stone where legends sit, shone by axes and every one of it. The lost souls thrown, they're all drunk for their sins. Leaving that old stone, it's halfway in. Although I've named but 4 good men, there's been so many more. All trauma suffered, young and old. They took their turn on the same old stone. They took their turn on the same old stone. They took their turn on the cornerstone.
So there we go, that's a track called The Cornerstone from Conal Montgomery, who joins us now in the studio. How are you?
Not too bad, Robin. Thanks for having me.
Well, thanks for coming in again. So that is the title track from the new album, and it seems like it's taken forever to get round to releasing the album? Because we've been playing the songs for so many months now on the radio.
Yeah, I think it was the songs some of the songs had been written in the pandemic, in the lockdown. I started recording the album with Jodie Dornan. I think it was June last year, but obviously the songs had been played. I'd been playing the songs online, so they've been around for a couple of years, but we've actually got around to recording them.
Yeah, and it's actually a kind of new voyage for you as well, because we're used to seeing you do all the rock stuff for many years.
Yeah, fronting a rock band. I never ever played an instrument, so I've been dabbling on the acoustic guitar. I had plenty of time to do it. I had plenty of time to write. After my first album, I actually only got the album launch done, and I think it was a week later we were all locked down. So I started writing. People were approaching me and saying, "Can you write a song about this? Can you write a?" Because we were all in contact with each other through Facebook and Messenger. This is all the locals in the area, and the songs were basically born out of that. You know, the cornerstone was. I sort of had the idea for the cornerstone in my head for a while, coming from all the old characters that used to live in Killalay, but everybody always congregated around the stone.
Yeah.
So it sort of struck a chord with me because of my history with alcohol and stuff. Sort of a song for them to be remembered, you know.
And the great thing about the album is all the songs have a personal meaning to you. They're all story songs and a lot about your hometown of Killalay, aren't they?
Yeah. There's a song, This Is Our Town, which I was challenged to write a song about the town because we already had the Shores of Killalay that was out, and the lyrics for that were written by Father Liam Vaughan, and a neighbour asked me to put a melody to it. So after doing that, they says, "Well, why don't you write your own?" So I come up with This Is Our Town. But I think all the songs are I've gone down the folk sort of path.
There's some country in it.
There's
as well.
country in there
feel,
too. Yeah,
there?
there's country in there. The country songs are more born out of people would send me poetry and their feelings down on a page, and I would make them into songs. So most of the country stuff came from the lyricists who were sending me these lyrics, you know.
Tell us about the song, Do You Fancy a Match on the Green?
Do you fancy a match down the green? I wrote that. I wrote the lyrics for that probably early 90s. When I was in the rock band, of course, with Sweetleaf, and we were doing the bikers scene. And I was always coming up with little songs just for a mess about, and a carry on and a laugh. And I would sing these songs to the guys on the way to the gigs and stuff, and would have a good laugh at it, you know. And the lyrics stayed stuck with me, but adding little bits here and there, I was really missing my childhood and the simplicity of it all. And when life was easier, and remembering all these, everybody mentioned in that song are real people. Some of them the same age as me and not with us anymore. But it was written for my dad. The last verse is, we all grew up playing football. There was no Xbox, there's no PlayStations in those days, and we grew up and football was our love. And I wrote the song for everybody that I grew up with, but also for my dad, who introduced us to football. And I remember going to watch him play, and there was him and Clifford Healy, who were centre back for Killalay. And as I grew up, when I became 15, 16, Killalay had a third team that were introducing the young players. And Clifford and my dad, who were older veterans then, would play for the third team, and I ended up in goal. And I included them in the song, but I think it was just a thank you for my dad to what an easy and pleasant upbringing we had, even with the troubles going on in the rural areas. We didn't really taste that, you know. And religion didn't really come into it in our estate. Everybody, as it says in the song, everybody kicked with the same foot.
Yes.
You know?
Oh, brilliant. One of my favourite songs on the album is the song Isaac, which is about a family member of yours, isn't it?
Yeah, Isaac Montgomery would be a far out relation of mine. He drowned at the quay in Killalay in 1903. There was a poem written about it at the time and was published, and it sort of steered towards Isaac. I think worked at the quay, but there was no lighting at the quay, and it seems to be the story is that he was drawn to a light, and the light was actually on a ship out in the harbour, and Isaac followed the light and fell in. We don't know whether it was calm that night, or we don't know the story behind it, but I sort of artistic license made the rest up myself, you know.
Yeah.
And sort of made it into like a ghost story, but not one to be feared.
Yes.
The fear you've got to have is for the loch, for the tranquility on top, and the dangerous undercurrents below, which Strangford Loch is renowned for.
Of course, yeah. So the album The Cornerstone comes out on May the 20th.
Yeah, maybe I've rushed that a little bit because I've held off, and my impatience got the better of me, and I needed to have a date for myself. So whether the CDs arrive for that date or not, it'll be released on all the other platforms. So
And I know
I'm
there's
happy
going to
with
be a big Belfast launch date at some stage in June as well.
Yes, I'm hoping to have. I'd thought long and hard about. It's quite simple for me to put it on around the district, around Killalay and Downpatrick and stuff. And I thought this time I'm going to go to Belfast and let other people hear what I've got to offer.
Excellent. Well, we look forward to hearing you in Belfast. We're going to get you to do one more before you go. What are you going to do for us this time?
I think I'll do The Shores of Killalay, which is the song that started the journey of the album for me. The lyrics written by Father Liam Vaughan, and a neighbour produced this in front of me and asked, and I wasn't really thinking, I was thinking more of going back after the pandemic and putting the Happy Being Free album on.
Yeah.
But this came at the right time for me, and each song led on from this, so this started it for me.
Brilliant. Well, Conal, thank you for coming in, and the
Thank
very
you.
best of luck with the album.
Thank you so much, Robin. Thank you.
So here we are with The Shores of Killalay, Conal Montgomery.
I hope someday I will return to the shores of Killalay and see the little houses, crowded streets down to the quay. The island's green, the water's blue, and it sweeps across the bay. And I'll find a peace that first I knew by the shores of Killalay. The ancient castle stands so fair upon its ancient hill, where the feet of holy men once tread, whose voices linger still, who spoke of things as yet unheard ere they sailed their boats away. And a piece of heaven has never left the shores of Killalay. So someday I'll return again to that village by the sea and hear the happy voices of the folk I long to see, and feel the gentle breeze that sweeps in from the bay, where the waters touch the heavens by the shores of Killalay, where the waters touch the heavens by the shores of Killalay, where the waters touch the heavens by the shores of Killalay.
Now, my final guest on the show this week is a man you might recognise from Channel 5's Yorkshire Vet show. It is back with a brand new series, and here's what happens when I met Julian Norton. TV vet from Channel 5's The Yorkshire Vet, Julian Norton, joins us on the line. Julian, how are you?
Hi, Robin. I'm very well, thank you. Thank you for having me.
Well, thank you for joining us. So tell us about this new research then that's been carried out. We found that pet owners are more likely to take their pet for a checkup than go to the doctors for a checkup themselves.
Yeah, well, it's been undertaken, this little survey, or big survey, I think, by the Brook Charity. They do all sorts of fantastic work with working horses and donkeys across the world. They train vets to actually help hands-on in places where there's a real reliance on animals to do work and help people. And they wanted to highlight the important work that we do as vets across the UK and across the world. So that they were finding out how important we were. And it turns out from the questions that they've asked that we are quite important people, which is good news if you're a vet. And 9 out of 10 people believe that vets are a vital part of the local community, and also more people would be happy to take their pet to the vet than take themselves to the doctor. So this is all good news if you're a vet, I guess.
Well, working as a vet yourself, do you notice that as well, that people would rather do that?
Yeah, completely. I've been working now for just over 25 years and see it all the time. People are, the relationship that people have with their pets is a really strong one, and it's a very special bond, I think. Pets are part of the family. I was talking to a client the other day who the husband was bemoaning the fact that he'd been forced to sleep on the sofa whilst the dog was recovering from an operation. The dog was on the bed and there wasn't enough space for husband and wife and dog. So yeah, this is what happens all the time, and it's great to be able to help that really important relationship.
Give us some advice about if you're choosing a new pet. Is it important to kind of work out where your nearest vet is, where your local vet is?
Yeah, I think it's really important when you're looking at getting a new pet. There's an awful lot of things to consider. Choosing the right animal. Is it the right time in your life to have an animal? Of course, dogs take a lot of looking after the walking and feeding, and there's quite big financial cost implications when all households are faced with increasing kind of pressure on the financial resources. Is it really the right thing to get a dog that needs feeding and even the basic veterinary care, vaccinations, neutering, and worming and parasite treatment? It can add up to a fairly significant cost. So you need to look into it all angles. And you're right. Working out where the best vet, the nearest vet, the most suitable vet is, are all things that we need to consider when embarking on a long-term commitment with an animal.
Now, I see from the research as well, 2 in 5 pet owners don't feel confident about treating minor pet accidents or injuries. Would you advise people at home to try to treat their own pets?
It's a good question. I have to say, I do feel that there's a relative reluctance from a lot of pet owners to do even sort of basic first aid. I was, yesterday examining a dog with a problem and clipping its nails, and it's a fairly simple procedure that I would imagine a lot of pet owners would be able to do. But I think there's just a worry and anxiety that people might do it wrong or cause problems. So if you've got any concerns, any doubt, then I would always recommend at least calling the vet and having a chat on the telephone. And some people, very good and quite skillful and adept at first aid and managing simple problems. But I think animals can't talk, of course, so we don't know whether they're really poorly or just feeling a bit off it. So you don't want to embark on home treatment if if there's something more serious going on. So if in doubt, call the vet is what I would say.
And of course, it's also important to keep your animals vaccinated and up to date as well, isn't it?
It is, yeah. I mean, that's something that we've all seen with the pandemic. There's been the importance of vaccination has been highlighted for all of us, really. And I think with animals, diseases kind of come and go and wax and wane, and it's folly to pretend that vaccination isn't important, because some of those diseases can be very serious and life-threatening. So yeah, again, there's different regimes. Some people don't like doing too many vaccinations for their animals, but you can alternate. Not all of the components of all of the vaccines need to be given annually. So if you speak to your vet, they'll advise on the most appropriate vaccination regime for your individual animal. What was it that got you interested in becoming a vet then? Well, it was a long time ago. Obviously, when I was a kid, I just kind of fell in love with the idea of working with animals. I used to watch James Elliott on telly, and when I was, 8, 9, 10, as I think everybody did in those days, and I just thought, that looks like a brilliant way to spend the rest of my life. And I was very fortunate; everything fell into place. I got into vet school, and then ended up working in mixed practice in North Yorkshire, just like James Elliott. We tend to forget that animals can get things like cancer as well, but obviously, as animals can speak, how do we discover these things quickly then in our animals? Well, this is the fascinating thing I think about being a vet, is that they can't tell us what's going on. We have to, as owners and as vets, read the subtle signs. And luckily, most pet owners have got a really close relationship with their animals. They read the signs very early, and so if you can pick something up in the early stages, it might be reduced appetite, weight loss, coughing, any of the normal signs of illness. If you can pick them up at an early stage, it puts us in a much better position to help. Brilliant. So have you got a busy day in the surgery today? I have. I've been doing a few interviews this morning for World Vet Day, and to talk about the Yorkshire Vet as well, and to talk about the Brook charity. But next on my list is a dog with an injury to its tail that needs possibly some quite complicated surgery to repair. So that's next on my list. All right, so busy day ahead. Well, Julian, it's been great talking to you. Thank you so much for joining us, and the best of luck with the TV show as well. Thank you, Robin. Have a good day.
So that's all we have time for on The Big Show this week. I'll see you back here same time next week. Bye-bye.